Welcome to the SDR Accelerator podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Klusman, and according to recent industry data, the average on target earnings for small medium business account executives is around $4,500 higher per month than that of SDRs. And what's crazy about that is LinkedIn is full of SDRs that have been stuck in their role for 2, 3, even 4+ years. And so my goal is to help SDRs make the jump to an AE role as quickly as possible. And so on this show, I interview successful account executives to uncover how they made the jump from SDR to AE, sharing the right moves to make and also what to avoid, all to help you land that promotion in under 18 months. And so today we're diving into a success story with Cameron Furr. He was an SDR at Salesloft for actually just 7 months before becoming an AE there at Salesloft. And now I think he was in another role, and now he's an account executive at HubSpot. How's it going today, Cameron?
Pretty good, Thomas. How about yourself?
Can't complain, can't complain. Uh,
Love to hear it.
First question I have for you, what made you get into tech sales in the first place? A few years ago when you were an SDR, like what made you get into tech sales?
Yeah, man. So I actually had a connection over at Salesloft that had kind of connected me into it. Originally, my wife was working as a nurse and looking into like travel nursing gigs, and so I was kind of looking for something remote. And at the time, I come from like a military and like first responder sort of background. So I had just transitioned into another role. That other role wasn't really necessarily where I wanted to be as far as promotability and growth. And
Hmm.
so, frankly, it probably would have taken me like 10, 15 years to hit the 100K mark in that role. So, was looking for something a little bit that had a little bit more where I could control my own growth. And
Hmm.
I was talking to the buddy that works at Salesloft, and he referred me. And I just ended up getting in. And I think a big draw for me there was there were a lot of great people, and I saw a lot of folks that were promoting into AE roles really, really quickly. And
Hmm.
traditionally, I think a lot of people, they spend 5, 10 years in junior roles trying to get to a senior role so they can crack that six figure. And there were people doing that in
Hmm.
um, sometimes a year or less, and just I wanted to be a part of that. So ended up applying, and
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
worked
It's
out.
convenient that you had a friend in the uh, at a company like Salesloft because I think joining the right company has such a huge impact. Obviously, you got to work hard, and there's other things, these skills you have to develop, but joining the right company is honestly key and pivotal. And so
For sure.
it's time and it's fortunate that you had a friend at a company like Salesloft instead of some like, crappy SDR org where you have to grind for a couple years and then there's no promotion and stuff. So uh, it worked out well.
Yeah,
But
man, it did. It did, and I think that that's another thing about like because I think there's a lot of people talking out there about how to get into tech sales and how to
mhm,
get like an SDR gig,
yeah,
and a lot of it is just going to be the same process as like getting in at opportunities is
mhm,
finding the right people, connecting with
yep,
them, having those conversations, allowing them to refer you to the right person,
mhm,
right? And so that same grind applies very much to tech sales and getting that original SDR
absolutely.
position. So it's all about who you know.
Absolutely. And yeah, and I think that's becoming more true even with the world of AI where like I don't know, I just saw some I forget what it was, but it's like 40 something applications per second. I don't know, like for certain roles on LinkedIn, quick apply or maybe it's 4,000, I don't know. But you can you can get thousands of applicants per second now, and so it becomes that much more important to know someone on the inside. So, for sure true.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's,
Uh
it's crazy, man.
yeah, absolutely. Going into today, that's what
Mhm.
that gives you background for what got you into tech sales. Now you're an AE. But I'm curious, what drives you today? Like, what's your why? Why do you get up? What makes you get up in the morning and want to go to work, etc.?
I think there's a couple of them. Ultimately, we talked a little bit more about, on the podcast about this, but just like I think honoring the Lord, just
Hmm.
that being a big, that's our number one purpose in life. I think as believers, it's just working hard, honoring the Lord, doing
Hmm.
doing that, and then I think the second piece of that being my family. So I want to, if I fail, my family ultimately fails. So if I, don't do well, go on a pip, that's not going to end well for my family.
Yeah.
So I think there's a big portion of that. My wife is still, we just had a 5 month old
Oh, congratulations.
5 months ago. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And
Is it your
so
first kid?
so it is, yes, sir.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah. So we have a baby, and I would love to keep her at home. And I
Hmm.
think this career is a big portion of that, just allowing us the flexibility to be able to eventually be able to say like, hey, you can stay home. We're bringing in enough to be able
Yeah.
to satisfy all that.
She's still working now, but that's the kind of long-term goal. Yeah,
Yes,
awesome.
sir.
Very similar, man. I think I don't know if you can hear the. I think these microphones do a good job blocking out the noise, but I got a 7-month-old baby in the other room trying to go to sleep,
Congrats.
and my wife
Yeah,
also is working and would also like to stop working. So definitely similar timeline and goals on that one.
for
But it's fun.
sure, man.
Yeah, that's great.
That's awesome.
It is. It is. Children are a blessing. But
That
yeah.
they are.
Okay.
That they are.
I know it was a couple years ago, but
Mhm.
going to your time at Salesloft. Um, if you can remember, walk me. I want you to walk me through the process of what it was like jumping from SDR AE, jumping from an SDR to an AE there. And I guess
Mhm.
first question, I think you already mentioned it, but like, did you know you wanted to be an account executive right when you joined, or did you kind of like just jump in and be like, oh, I might go CSM, or I don't even know what roles there are, but like from the get go was AE your kind of mindset?
That was, when I was applying to the job, the big conversation was transferring from that SDR place to the AE, because I think what being an SDR does is really allows you to like see the entire spectrum, and I think it's the same way at a lot of works. I don't know if it's that way at MongoDB, where you can
Hmm.
promote into an AE,
Hmm.
CSM,
Yeah.
consultant, that sort of thing. Um, but that was a possibility
Hmm.
at Salesloft, and so I knew that I wanted to be an AE just from having different conversations with like friends, colleagues, conversations with the AEs that I was supporting. So
Hmm.
I came in pretty early wanting to be an AE, specifically wanting to be like a new business AE.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, with that, just I was pretty focused. There's like different progressions at
Hmm.
Salesloft, or at the time there were, and just starting out at like a regular SDR or BDR level, and then moving
Uh-huh.
into like a senior principal, and then at some point you become promotable. And so I think that was like a 10-month process just from that into promotion. So
Okay. Is that the only AE role that's available? Is the would you say it was new business, or do they have other types of AE entry level AE roles for internal promos?
they did. So I ended up transferring into pretty much an account manager. We called it a client account executive.
Hmm.
Um, and so at the time there was a little bit of a freeze internally, because nobody was really going anywhere. It was the time when the tech market kind of tanked and there was a lot of layoffs happening. So there was a little bit of a freeze
Hmm.
then, and so there weren't a whole lot of like new business AEs positions opening up. And so I saw an opportunity on that side to move into a closing role, and so just took advantage of it because I was in the right spot, had just achieved promotable status, and
Uh,
really wanted to step into a closing role.
okay, just to clarify, so you, I saw like you were a BDR and then a lead BDR
Mhm.
on LinkedIn, and then you said you promoted right into it was like more of like an account management role, but then
Mhm.
like a few months into that, you were able to pivot into like a more of like a new business role. Is that what you're saying?
No, so I stayed a client account executive at HubSpot for about, I'm sorry, for at Salesloft. I'm at HubSpot now, but
Yeah.
at Salesloft for about 6 months,
Okay.
and then transferred to not transferred, but I took a new position as a new business AE at
Oh,
a
I see.
B2G startup,
What is BDG? Beta business to
like this business to government. Yeah,
Oh, government. Okay, okay. Makes sense. Okay,
yeah,
okay, that's cool. So you were basically like realize the type of experience that you wanted, you weren't able to get just because of the way the market was, and so at least at Salesloft, and so then that's what made you go to I think first arriving. Okay,
yes, sir.
that makes sense. Okay, okay. And then going back to Salesloft, what was the actual? I think you touched on it, but like walk me through the actual process you needed to promote. You needed to promote at Salesloft. Did you say it was like you said 10 months in seed, and then like maybe like did you just have to be at 100%, and like was that it, or any other qualifications you needed?
It wasn't really a time frame. It was more like the number of qualified opportunities that you had. So I think it was somewhere between, because I was on the enterprise side of things.
Hmm.
So I think it was like between 30 and 40 qualified opportunities,
Okay.
that you had to hit to be able to be at that promotable status. It went from, just the regular BDR to like a senior BDR, and you needed like 12 or 14, something like that. I don't think
Okay.
it's the same way today at
Yeah,
all,
it probably has
but you
changed. So
just needed to hit those different wickets, all the way up to the promotable level, which was that just that number of qualified
Okay. That's
opportunities.
nice. I
Yeah,
mean, I guess it might not be anymore, so it's not super relevant, but just I like the idea of like, once it doesn't matter how long you've been there, as long as you like have gotten enough of those qualified opportunities,
absolutely.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Um, okay, as an SDR, thinking back, like what was a major challenge you faced as an SDR at Salesloft that you had to overcome, and how did you do it?
Just kind of thinking back on it, I was super super blessed in my time. I think it was very much a blessing. I didn't really. I think the biggest challenge that I overcame was
Mhm,
going to be that internal hiring freeze portion of it, because I just didn't know when the doors were going to open up for that position. Because there are probably a lot of SDRs today that are stuck in that SDR purgatory, right,
mhm,
where it's just like you're at the level that you need to be at, but the doors are just not opening. And
mhm,
so
mhm,
I think for me it was just the mental that, like, I'm a very goal oriented person, so I
mhm,
wanted to get to the next level as soon as possible. So I promoted pretty quickly from like regular BDR to senior to principal, all the way up to promotable, where you
mhm,
could finally promote into whatever was open at the time.
mhm,
And so for me, I think it was just getting to that level and then being like, I don't know where to go from here. I just have to perform and wait out my time. So I think that was going to be the case. I had great relationships with all my AEs. I had a great manager that supported me to do whatever I needed to do. Um, so I think probably that would be the case. And I know I'm blessed there because there's a lot
mhm.
of other people out there, like I said, in SDR purgatory that are just
Yep.
not able
It's a
to
grind.
do that.
So
Yeah,
your biggest challenge was just was it the impatience of trying to promote?
pretty much.
That's funny.
Pretty
No,
much.
that's funny.
Yeah.
I felt the same way, but it's just like uh it's just funny because I mean it just must be the military background in you because just like driven and wanting to always succeed because 10 months is pretty quick, but I mean that's probably why you were able to do it so fast is and that's I think that's just a tip of like I've probably interviewed 7 or 8 uh people who've all promoted. I've tried to focus on people who not like didn't promote in under 18 months after like jumping around a couple roles, or if they did, it was the total time in seat as an SDR was 18 months or less.
Mhm.
And so for you and for others, that just seems to be a common theme is just an insane amount of drive. And so I think that is along with the company and some other factors, but drive is just such a differentiator and one of the biggest like I think uh, characteristics in like people who can rise up the ranks quickly.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think a big portion of it, I'm not a Navy SEAL, but I'm a big fan of a lot of their ethoses.
Hmm.
I had somebody tell me one time that the easiest way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. And so if you break up, if you there's this a series on, you can find it on YouTube, Discovery. I think it was Discovery Channel or National Geo did it, but it was following a bunch of Navy SEALs through Hell Week.
Hmm.
And a big thing that they were trying to do, like the whole goal
Hmm.
for every single night, was to get to the next meal. So you get to breakfast, you get to lunch, you get to dinner, and there's hell in between each. You haven't slept in 3 days,
Hmm.
but you just have to get to the next meal. And I
Hmm.
think that's a great way to think about things, because like we've talked about, if you're stuck in SDR purgatory, it's very hard once, if you're not like setting those goals or don't have a clear path to the next level.
Hmm.
um, people are going to panic and flounder, and it's
Yeah.
just not going to be able to move up quickly, not going to be able to
Absolutely. No,
hang on for long.
absolutely. And speaking of the whole bite thing, I'll do a self plug, which is on my SDR accelerator community. One of the things that I'm uh, doing with SDRs and even some AEs is like creating like a 5-year vision and a goal, knowing that things could change um, of your life from not just your career, but also personal, professional, all these other things. And then like writing out where you are now and where you want to be in 5 years. And that's one of the beauties of AI, not just for, vision planning, but just for like when things are stressful, just throwing things into ChatGPT can break everything up into bite-sized pieces. And so that's one of my favorite ways to use AI. But also just in terms of that is like my goal is that like, you know, we would break these 5-year goals into basically 90-day plans and then weekly accountability groups to where those massive mountainous tasks actually feel really achievable when you break it down. So I think there's something to that that's really helpful for I guess just like humans to not get overwhelmed and to keep motivated. So that's really cool.
For sure, for sure. I am a big mindset person there, just
Yeah.
breaking big journeys into really small steps. It makes it a whole lot easier. And I
Yeah.
could go into talk about multiple scenarios where that's happened before, where people have hiked to the North Pole from a certain distance, and their only focus was the next step, right? And
Yeah.
then they end up getting there. And so definitely making those bites a lot easier to
hmm
take.
hmm Definitely feels way less overwhelming and daunting. So makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, going into your actual performance as an SDR, I checked your stats, saw you crushed your quotas. I think, yeah, you were new BDR of the year. Uh, Clearly had a strong case for yourself to promote. My question is, um, what do you feel that you maybe did differently than your peers? Slash, what would others maybe say that you're uniquely good at? You are or were uniquely good at as an SDR?
Yeah, man. So I think a big thing for me was I'm just consistent.
hmm
I am not the greatest person on the phone. I don't come up with the best emails. I mean, I think you can come up with better emails nowadays with ChatGPT for sure, but I wasn't the best at all of that. I think I had an SDR that I worked with got promoted to AE at Salesloft. His name is Ben Froelich, and
hmm
we've communicated throughout the years and had kept a great relationship. But I remember in my first I think 1 to 2 months, I was just he had just got promoted to AE. I was my very first few months at being an SDR. And, I told him like what his mindset was going into it, and he told me that def- define a way to have success every single day, because you're not going to book a meeting every single day. You're not
hmm
going to um, you know have an opportunity to convert every single day. So find the success, like be able to hang your hat on your day and say, hey, I accomplished my KPIs. I made the calls, sent the emails, had the conversations, moved opportunities forward. So I
hmm
think being able to define success for a single day really helped me out, because
Yeah.
I think for me, my KPIs at the time is pretty low actually. I think it was 10, or I'm sorry, not 10, 10, yeah, 10 emails to the first person, like 10 day one emails to
hmm
a new
Initial
contact in
emails, initial
cadence.
outreach emails. Yeah.
Yeah. And then 40 cold calls. And that was it. And
Yeah.
so I was able to hit that, uh, pretty digestibly every single day.
hmm
And I just, obviously there are days that you miss.
hmm
Um, but I think what separated me was I was, not to be a self plug, but I was the most consistent
hmm
in my outreach, like reaching out to folks and
hmm
just moving those deals forward, moving those opportunities forward.
Absolutely. Did excuse me, did you go above that? And if the answer is no, that's like totally cool too. I was just curious. Did you have a, well, I guess let me ask it this way. I agree with your first point, which is like you want to tie success to probably something specifically that you can control, otherwise you'll go
Mhm.
absolutely insane. So tie
Absolutely.
success to something you can control. Was your definition of a successful day directly tied to your KPIs, or was it higher than that, or was it different than your KPIs?
I think for me, it was like hitting my KPIs if nothing happened. If I booked a meeting, that was a successful day.
hmm
If I had a qualified opportunity that converted from, I forgot, I think developing into discovery, something like that,
hmm
where it just became a qualified opportunity that was going to demo. That was a successful day.
hmm
And so just having those things, yes, within my control, but also if there were other successes that I
Yeah.
had that propelled me forward, that was also a successful day for me.
Okay. That's great. Was there ever a day that you didn't have a successful day?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
I would say that,
Yeah.
I feel like I was the most consistent,
At
but
doing
there
it? Yeah.
was also at the same time, like we all have days
Oh
that
yeah.
are, things are hard. You've had things pop up in the beginning of the
Or you
day,
got a doctor's
things get
appointment or whatever.
busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do
Yeah. And
you,
so
because I know for myself, when I try to hold myself to a high standard, and I think when one does, it often makes you more productive, and there's some good in that. But like The problem that can arise is you can really beat yourself up if you don't hit it, or you just get really down on yourself or angry at yourself and you don't go to bed uh, happy. Like, how did you get through that? Or you just like, did it just inspire you to, you just go to bed depressed and then just work hard the next day? Or like, how did you get through on the days when like you didn't hit it?
Bro, that is still a work in progress.
Hmm.
I'm still, I would say that's one of my weaknesses is just if I'm not successful, I am
Hmm.
pretty hard on myself, just trying
Yeah.
to, and that can also be a strength as well. Like,
Hmm.
um, I feel like I take input really, really well. I don't thrive off of criticism, but
Hmm.
I improve based on constructive criticism, right? And
Yeah.
so, um, I think just not taking that to heart and thinking about it after the workday,
Hmm.
is a challenge of mine. And so I bring it, I ended up bringing it home, bringing
Hmm.
it into my relationship with my wife, and as we're spending time with our daughter, just
Hmm.
trying to decompress can be hard to do. And
Hmm.
so, I have that today as an AE, just, going through the discovery process, making
Hmm.
sure that I'm covering all the wickets, going into the demo process, make sure that I'm running a very high level demo,
Hmm.
that's, acceptable to all of my peers in the way that I'm expected to act.
Hmm.
Um, and so just I think that's part of being a continuous learner too, is
Absolutely.
just holding yourself to a really, really high standard. And if
Yeah.
you fall short, find the ways to mitigate that gap and bridge it.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. And then so to answer the question, you feel like it's just like you haven't found a good solution when you don't have a good day, which is totally fine if
Oh
that's the,
man, yeah,
or is
yeah.
there anything you've done that has helped?
Um, I think that's another one of those things where you just have to, like, if you don't have a good day, you accept it,
Yeah.
right? We all have sales is one of those things where you have to, um, enjoy the highs,
Hmm.
prepare for the lows,
Hmm.
because you can do absolutely all the right things. I had, as a BDR, and I think I lean on my time as a BDR, like now
Hmm.
as an AE, is like my foundation for learning, how to bounce back if I've had a bad month or a bad quarter.
Hmm.
Like I've had bad months as an SDR. I
Hmm.
had months where I didn't hit quota, but I bounced back the next month,
Yeah.
right? Like I think I have on my LinkedIn where I hit 233% as a
Hmm.
BDR one
Hmm.
month. And for us at the time, I think that was 7 qualified enterprise opportunities, so
Hmm.
above a certain threshold and whatnot. Um, and the month before that, 2 months before that, I was at 33%. None of
Hmm.
my opportunities converted.
Yeah.
And so I made the decision, like, I essentially have to overwork,
Hmm.
to be able
Get
to
back on
get. And
track.
so I stepped up my calls by like 20-30% every single day. So I was making, which, I mean, even 50-60 cold calls, it's not that many cold calls when
Yeah.
there are, like, SDRs out there making hundreds,
Yeah.
in a day. So,
Yeah. No, that's
but
great
just
advice. That's great. I think it's just like it's just one of those worst feelings of just in humanity of just like getting too philosophical, but like having regret or just like for me it's like oh like why did I watch so much YouTube and beat myself up? But I think the what I've found, at least for me, to be helpful is just like write down exactly why I feel frustrated and
Mhm.
figure out what happened to get me to that spot, and then do your best to determine, okay, I'm gonna do my best tomorrow to not do those things. Uh, but it's
that's a
easier said than done.
Oh yeah, I think that's a really great way to do it, because I think identifying the source of that is
Hmm.
going to help you so much, because when you
Hmm.
write down why you're feeling frustrated, like you were saying, and then just diving into the why behind
Yep.
it, right? So you can track down the source, fix that
Yeah,
source,
that's true. A
and
lot of
fix it.
anxiety is kind of killed with when you find precisely where it's coming from and then, speak truth to it, I guess. Uh,
Absolutely,
yeah, that makes
100%.
sense. Okay. Going back to, I guess, your journey as an SDR or even an AE, um,
Mhm.
if you could go back to younger Cameron, what, if you could go back in time, what would you have done differently, if anything at all?
What would I have done differently?
I
I
guess actually,
think.
sorry, sorry to cut you off. What would you have done differently as an SDR? Uh, yeah, specifically as an SDR, if anything at all.
I think getting more into quantifiables,
Hmm.
being able to leverage numbers and stats to deliver outcomes. I think for me, I didn't do enough of that. A lot of my success as an SDR came from, I think, being being disciplined, but also I had great relationships with my AEs. I hit the close loft list, and a lot of that was me just calling a person saying, hey, I saw that you had previously been in talks with us at Salesloft. Are you considering, talking about it again? Just being like having really simple conversion methods. So I think being a little bit more sophisticated in my outreach and talking about deliverables, talking about outcomes versus talking about, the pain points and how we help, right? Because as I've become an AE, a lot of what I'm doing now is in these discovery conversations, just talking about, the current state today,
Hmm.
bringing out the quantifiables, and then talking about how we can deliver higher outcomes and building the contrast there. So I think getting more into the numbers would have helped me quite a bit.
Are you talking about just are you talking about specifically like on cold calls? Like
Yeah, yeah,
like are you saying
just
understanding specifically like quantifying the pain that the customers are having? Is that what you're talking
yeah,
about?
yeah, just
Yeah.
I mean, being able to put numbers to it and
Yeah.
just talk about like we're talking about, I don't know, conversion rates if you're like in Martech, something like that. I'm talking about like low conversion rates and being able to see like, oh, across the board with the company I work with now, HubSpot,
Hmm.
like you can see, you're getting a 10% more conversion rate than
Hmm.
what you're seeing today. And just being able to identify the situation, quantify it,
Hmm.
put an actual number on it, and then book a call based on that and the value versus like having simpler methods of doing
Hmm.
it, because I think that would have translated a lot better into being an AE than just like the grind of making those cold calls day in
Hmm.
and day out.
Hmm. Starting, yeah, taking on the taking on the role that you wanted sooner,
Mhm.
which is
Yeah, for
there's a
sure.
lot of wisdom in that, and it's just so hard that's why like I think like incentives for SDRs, which is kind of outside of our control, but the incentives at sales ops and whoever makes those decisions are so important because it's like at the end of the day, like it's just natural to do the bare minimum of what's like required to maximize our income, and so it's just
Yeah,
like
man,
just human nature. So uh, I think it's wise if you can, but the counter argument to that is like, hey, you're gonna have to interview for the next role, so like you need to do other things to show you're prepared. But
for sure.
I think it's just so important uh that for sales ops
Yeah,
to like let the metrics align with what they actually want to grow, but it's hard to do.
yeah. I think skill development as an SDR, it is super important, because I got to a point where me and my manager would have like skill session conversations, and we would talk about like how I could improve, and it got to a point where like as a BDR there were obviously ways that I could improve,
Hmm.
but there weren't. I was hoping to prepare more for the next level than I was like to improve as a BDR.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really important to take advantage of that. It can kind of be hard to see if you're stuck in that SDR purgatory, but
Yeah, absolutely.
learning discovery, because I mean you can do discovery on cold calls too, right? You
Yeah.
can do, I mean, even if it's very short. I'm a big fan of keeping cold calls short, like the 3 to 5 minute range,
Hmm.
to be able to book the meeting to have dedicated time to it.
Absolutely.
Um,
I agree
but
with that as well.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. Another question, maybe my last. Uh,
sir.
in the world of AI that we're in, AI or in the world of AI we're in, things are changing quite rapidly, and so I always just kind of like to figure out, as far as like pipeline generation goes, how um how are you using AI specifically today to build pipeline for yourself as an AE? Or I guess do you still have to do you build pipeline or do you have SDRs
I
that
do.
build that for you? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess how
I'm
are
full
you
cycle.
how are you using AI today for that specifically? Maybe a piece of advice that could pass on to somebody else.
Yeah, I think with that, there are some great resources out there for building out like ChatGPT prompts,
Hmm.
to talk about like cold call, like being able to copy and paste from whatever your CRM is, whatever you're using, whether it's Salesloft
Hmm.
Outreach. If you're using HubSpot or Salesforce, like being able to copy and paste certain people's roles, their email, their like the domain name of the company, to be able to see like what does a CEO at Apple do,
Hmm.
and talk about like prior uploading like resources from your company about how Google helps Apple, and being able to do that and just come up with like different cold call prompts,
Hmm.
and being able to simplify it, just having like a bucket response almost. So I think I've done that in the past, and that has helped me book meetings on cold calls.
Hmm.
I think another thing is just talking about like sequencing and cadencing. I think there's some
Hmm.
great resources out there as well for like building out the different email cadences and sequences, like to customize to the actual role, to the actual person, maybe their LinkedIn, and just
Hmm.
analyze that. So that's how I've leveraged it for, I guess, like prospecting ways.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. It's like really wise. And so just to summarize, I think you said cold calling, um, or like, yeah, just kind of basically helping you with the talk traffic for cold calling and then building out cadences for the pipeline side of things. And then also just reviewing discovery calls and maybe help send a good follow-up email as well as just like make sure you have all the context for like the next step.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I think it's great too. If you're like, as an AE, you'll be building out decks and
Hmm.
and doing a lot of that stuff. So utilizing that, because I think I like to overthink the presentation.
Hmm.
What needs to be on there, and so I think ChatGPT helps a lot with that, and just like keeping it really really simple. Like when you're talking about different bullet points that you
Hmm.
have, based on a conversation that you've had, and all of that. So I think that's been a big way that I've leveraged it.
Absolutely. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, do you have time for one more question, Cameron?
I do, yes,
You
sir.
do. Okay, I can edit this out if you don't want me to, if you don't want to answer it. But I'm just curious. I know we talked right before this about like regret and decisions we should have made. Um, Going to first, like you were an account executive at Salesloft, pretty well-known company. You kind of jumped to first arriving because you wanted more of a closing role, and then um, did that for a year, but then jumped to HubSpot. I guess specifically for first arriving, do you think it was wise to make that jump, or if speaking from I guess from like a financial slash career progression perspective, do you think it would have been better to have stayed at Salesloft?
No, I don't think so. I think that I jumped for the opportunity to sell to new business,
Hmm.
and I wouldn't have gotten the same opportunity where I'm at today at HubSpot if I hadn't made that jump. So, because I went from managing accounts to selling pretty much net new and kind of managing accounts up
Yeah.
until, like, I think, I don't know, the year mark, something like that.
Hmm.
Um, and then, yeah, I mean, it led me to where I am today, so I
Yeah.
I don't have any regrets there.
Makes sense. That was great. I won't have to edit it out then. Are you doing
Yeah,
SMB at HubSpot or mid market at HubSpot? Or what?
doing SMB.
Nice. Right on.
Yeah, man, small business is where it's at, dude.
Yeah, it's kind of
It's
fun.
yeah,
Bunch of high
it's
transactions
fun.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yep, yep. It's fun. People move fast. Lots of reps stay in small biz for a long time here, just because it's a great experience.
Yeah.
Just
I mean, I
a
can
great
see you
place to be.
already you hit almost 200% of your number for Q2, so good on you, man.
I did. Thanks, man. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Hoping to continue the same trends.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, if you keep up with the consistency, I'm sure you will.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
absolutely, man.
Well, thanks so much for joining, Cameron. It was great meeting you, and look forward to chatting in the future.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it. It's a
Yep.
pleasure.
All right. Have a good one, and best of
All
luck
right.
to your to getting sleep with the 5-month-old.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're working on it. She's been great, but
Awesome, man.
those 4:30 wake ups are not fun.
Brutal.
You know about it. You know
Yep.
about it.
Yep. All right,
Yeah.
man. Catch you later.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
See ya.
Thank you so much for checking out the SDR Accelerator podcast. If you're interested in receiving personalized guidance to help implement what was discussed on the episode, feel free to check out the SDR Accelerator School community. You'll get personalized sessions to help you map out your career and life goals, weekly Q&A sessions, workshops, AI consulting, accountability groups, and access to some of these account executives I'm interviewing, as well as myself. You can check out the link in the description below and hope to see you soon.